If, like me, you own the Turner JM+2U power microphone, you will know that these microphones inside are powered by this little battery here. It's a Mercury Ever Ready power cell, an EP175 battery. And like a lot of stuff these days, these batteries are pretty much un-obtanium. You can sometimes find them, but they are damn expensive. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a simple, cheap alternative to keep your microphone working with parts that are readily available, and it's quite easy to do actually. What you will need to do is get yourself a length of heat shrink tubing, and the heat shrink tubing needs to be, I'll have a piece here, 21mm across here when it's folded flat, and I'll put the equivalent in inches up on the screen for you now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make our own equivalent of this, wrap it in the heat shrink, and continue to allow us to use this microphone. I'll show you the batteries now that I'm going to be using. In the UK we have what's called Pounderland, where everything you can buy in the shop is £1. I've been to the States and you have like the dollar store, so I'm assuming, you know, everyone's got their alternative of the pound shop, and this is where you can get the little button cells that you need to make the equivalent of this, and I'll show you those now. These are the packs of button cells you can buy at the local shop, and we want the ones here, the LR44s or AG3 is the equivalent. There's several other types of names that or part numbers they give these batteries, and I'll put a list of them up on the screen. Should be up there now. That's some of them. Whether that's all of them I don't know, but LR44 and AG13, these are the ones that are readily available that you can get. You need 5, and they're 1.5 volt, so 5 times 1.5 gives you 7.5 volt, whereas the original battery was 7 volts, so you're only 0.5 volt over power, which should be more than acceptable. Here's the battery here, and you can see up the top here it says 7.0 volt, and you can see also here it's the same diameter as the cells themselves. Now, one side of these has some writing on, and I believe that's the plus. The other side, which no writing on, is the minus, and you have to put them plus minus when you put them together. So if you don't get that round the way, they won't work. So right, let's get on with assembling up our little button cell alternative to this battery. So to get inside, it's just the 4 screws, and you can pop the cover off like so, and then the board just gently pops out when you get all the screws out, like so, and there you can see my battery terminals are in very good condition. Some words of wisdom: if you're looking to buy one of these, always get the buyer to take the back off and show you what the battery terminals look like. A lot of people with those old batteries have these in the cupboard laying in there for ages. The batteries leak and they corrode out all the battery terminals, and then you won't find it till you actually get this. And that's what you need to check, the condition of both of those. You want them nice and shiny, no signs of anything leaking anywhere. And also, if we look underneath, there's a tiny bit of leakage you can see here, so I will clean that up. But apart from that, my terminals are looking pretty good, so something's happened in there, but that's okay. I can give that a bit of a clean, and then we're all good. There's no hard and fast rules for this, so I'm aligning the end of the battery up with the heat shrink tubing here. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to cut it in the middle between this symbol and that W, which then in theory would leave about that much either end to shrink, because after all that's what it does, it is heat shrink tubing. So I'll cut that, we'll have a quick measure, and then if that size works, then you've got a guide. If it shrinks too far, then you know to make it a bit bigger. If it doesn't shrink enough, then you know to make it a bit smaller, but we've got to start somewhere. Right, so I've cut the heat shrink tubing. It's approximately 35 millimetres or 1 3/8 inches. I could actually read, it took me some time to work out that it was 1 3/8 inches, but I've got there in the end. Well, I've just come to use my heat gun for the heat shrink tubing. Follow the cable down to the end. There's no plug on it. The other half has nicked the plug off of this for use on her sewing machine. I've been nobbled. Right, so I've elongated these out for you so you can see you've got the plus this side, negative this side. So it goes plus, negative, plus, negative, plus, negative, plus, negative, plus, negative. And then you will close them all up when they're inside the piece of heat shrink. I've managed to get a plug on there. I found one, so I've nicked one and got one back again. So here's the finished item. We've got a bit of stuff this end and a bit this end. So I'm going to get a knife and I'm going to trim this because you need the end exposed to make a bit of contact. So I'm going to try and trim it just around the inside. So I've got a lip holding the last battery in. So I'll just quickly trim the ends up. There's what we've made versus what we've got. Whether I need to take a bit more of this lip off, I don't know. I mean, that end's pretty much a mirror finish of what was there, so whether I need to take a bit more off, I'll see, but all I need to do is get a connection on there. So let's quickly put the meter here that we need. And there you go, we've got 7.98 volts. So you've got 0.98 of a volt more than what you need. I'm pretty sure that'll be okay for the microphone. I don't think that'll kill it. So there we have one replacement EP175 made for £1 for the batteries. And I forget what I paid for the heat shrink. So probably about £2.50 versus that. The good thing is I've now got that heat shrink left. I mean, you can buy a big length of this. You could buy several and make several at once, and then you've got a nice stock. So let's just put it in the back of the microphone and see how it fits. I've opened up the microphone. So the positive side is the side that's got the text on it. So we push that in. So it's fitted in nicely, and then if we quickly probe either end of the tabs, we just bring in the meter so you can see the reading. There we go. Right, let me just put my tabs probes on either end here. And we got the 7.98, so it's working perfectly. Now, one thing I am going to do with this is I've noticed, and I'll use the term slop. You might think that's what I've just made, but here's the original battery. If you put that in, slop. So I'm going to try and get myself a piece of plastic or a lolly stick or something, just wedge it in there to make sure that that battery can't move. Otherwise that may give you dodgy connections, I don't know. But that's something I'll do off camera. You can use whatever you want just to stop that battery moving about. Finally, when you're putting the thing back together, just do the screws up until they bite. You need to give them a very, very slight tighten. Don't tighten them too much. Last thing you want to do is break any part of this case, because obviously you can't get them anymore. So I'm literally nipping them up till they're tight and then just very, very minutely giving them a bit more just so that they're on there hot, nice and tight. And then the microphone's back together. And that is as simple as that. And that's how you change your battery.
Well, that concludes my test. Unfortunately, I can't put the microphone onto my Superstar because having a funny 5 minutes, it's actually wired up for my voice, which I'm still working on. So, as you can hear, the microphone works well and nice loud modulation, nice and clear. So once the Royce is up and running, I'll do a test, but that's how you can make your own replacement batteries to the original EP175s that came with the Turner microphones. I think this will fit most of the Turners if they're fitted with that type of battery. So good luck. If you have any questions or you want any further advice on how I did this, post a comment and I'll come back to you. Thank you very much.